video. Click on your hand, show it. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
Then let's start.
Okay. Hello, participants. Welcome this afternoon, and we thank you all for joining us today. Today, we continue with our series of webinars, and we are glad once again that you have joined us. To give us the presentation today is Mr. Daniel Atu Aduba. Mr. Daniel Atu Aduba has been teaching as a teacher in the Ghana Education Service for some time now, before he moved to the University of Education, Winneba, where he teaches ceramics. So in terms of experience, he also gathered a wide range of experience on pre-tertiary teacher education curriculum framework. So, honorable members, participants who have joined us, let's welcome Mr. Atu Aduba to present to us on a pre-tertiary education framework. In fact, it is one of the new educational policies that as teachers who are going for promotion, we need to acquaint ourselves with it, at least have a gist of what that document is about, so that when we are asked something on it, we'll be in better position to respond to it. So I am privileged to have Mr. Atu Aduba to do that presentation for us. At this juncture, I hand over the podium to Mr. Atu Aduba to begin with us for the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. President. I think everybody can hear me now. We've begun a webinar series. I think it's 1 week now, and today we are continuing. I would like to share the screen. Please give me a minute. Okay. So we are good to go. Okay. Good afternoon, members. Today we are all here to discuss, and I'm Mr. Daniel Atu Aduba. I'll be presenting to you the National Pre-Tertiary Education Curriculum Framework. Now, the Ministry of Education Ghana is keen in providing quality education for all. This very policy document draws together and articulates the vision, the philosophy. It articulates the vision, the philosophy, the goals, learning experiences, instructional resources, and assessment system as a guide to school curriculum. In fact, the curriculum framework also offers the basis for the constant and ongoing curriculum development, implementation, and periodic curriculum review and revision. So for the introduction, we'll be looking at the vision.
Hello, Abu.
Yes, can you hear me?
The screen is not showing. We're not able to see the screen.
Wow.
Yeah, so take it off and then put it on again.
Okay.
On share and share again. The participant.
But you can hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Good. We can see it now. So here we go.
Okay, thank you very much. So today I'm presenting to you the National Pre-Tertiary Education Curriculum Framework. Now, as I earlier on said, the Ministry of Education is keen in providing quality education for all. So when we talk about the pre-tertiary curriculum framework, we are talking from the early childhood stage to the SHS or the TVET. So it's a policy document. It's available. It's a policy document that draws together and articulates the vision, the goals, the philosophy, the assessment system, the instructional resources, and it's a guide to school curriculum. The curriculum framework also offers the basis for constant and ongoing curriculum development, the implementation and a periodic curriculum review and the revision. So we'll be going through some of these as shown. And so why the National Pre-Tertiary Education Curriculum Framework? Is there a particular reason? Now, Ghana is keen in developing our educational system, and the focus is particularly on the 4 R's. When you talk about the 4 R's, you are talking about reading, you are talking about writing, you are talking about arithmetic, and we are talking about creativity. Reading, students, all school-going students should be able to read either the English language, the Ghanaian language the optional Ghanaian language that we study or we find in our locality. Then again, every school-going child must be able to write. Now, someone will ask why W? We are saying 4 R's, but here it starts with W. Now, don't let us go deep into that. Just concentrate on the R's there. Arithmetic. When we talk about arithmetic, it's a branch of mathematics that consists of the study of numbers. So now we are talking about multiplication, we are talking about subtraction, we are talking about addition, we are talking about exponentiation, and we are talking about extraction of roots. So that is arithmetic. Creativity, as art educators, you know about creativity, and creativity cuts across arts. So in creativity, we are talking about innovation because you have to create. You have to, through creativity, you'll be able to innovate something. Okay. Now, another focus is on the essential knowledge, skills, and competencies that Ghanaian young people need to become educated citizens. We are also looking at the focus on mathematics and science as the fundamental building block for success in the era of technological advancement. You know, now we've moved on to technological advancement era, and it means that whatever we do is backed by technology. So our school curriculum must also be backed with technology. We are also looking at ensuring we are also looking at ensuring that basic school lays the solid foundation necessary for tertiary education as well as preparation for early entries. Now, there is a conceptual framework when we talk about the pre-tertiary curriculum framework. This framework that you see comprises everything that is embedded in the curriculum framework of the pre-tertiary education in Ghana. So when we look at it, we have quality education for all Ghanaian children. So basically, whatever we want to discuss in the national curriculum for the pre-tertiary education has been drawn here. And this is the conceptual framework. So if you are able to understand this whole framework, then it means that we are good to go. So for providing quality educations for all Ghanaian children, it means that there are guiding policies that has to be embedded in the curriculum framework of the pre-tertiary education. We are going to look at the curriculum philosophy. We'll look at the vision, the aims, values, objectives. In fact, we cannot digest everything that we see here, but we'll look at few of them, and if time permits, another time we can continue with the whole thing. Now, let's start with the 4 learning areas. Let's start with the 4 learning areas. Now, learning areas, we have the 4 across the curriculum. Now, if you look at that, let me show if I can show by, can you see the cursor? Can you see the cursor? You can see, please nod your head. You can see the cursor, right? Can you all hear me, please? Just nod your head if you can hear me. Can members hear me? Okay.
Oh, yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you clear.
Okay.
And we can see the cursor too.
You can see the cursor too. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
So Ghana's entrepreneurial sector is a key factor or a key target for development. And as such, curriculum development is a key factor to nation building. So if a country does not have the national curriculum development framework for pre-tertiary education, then it means that its human resources are incapacitated. You cannot do anything because after finishing school and cannot convert the knowledge that you got from school into a meaningful thing, then it means it's not worth being educated. So, in essence, it is required to make policies that is necessary to promote better cognitive skills, development for all, and also address the fact that scientific literacy and entrepreneurial knowledge and skills development is an urgent need of attention in Ghana. This will ensure that all learners leave school as scientifically literate citizens, and it's therefore crucial that the country is transmuted into a mathematically responsive one in which science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, we call all of them STEM education, is at the fore. As learners go through this pre-tertiary system, it is expected that they become nurtured in honesty. So all this curriculum framework is directed in helping the young ones to become nurtured in honesty and be able to think creatively. Now, students finish school and they cannot produce anything. They can't think creatively. They can't use the knowledge that they have acquired through their education into meaningful things. Now, this new curriculum or framework is just towards the ability for us to be able to create from whatever that we learned in the pre-tertiary system, so that we become a responsive and responsible citizens of our country, Ghana. Now, let's look at the table, the conceptual framework here. I said earlier on that if you are able to understand all these things that has been stated here, then we are good to go. It means you understand the conceptual framework of the national curriculum, which is for the pre-tertiary level. Now, let's look at the quality education for all Ghanaians. The quality education for all Ghanaians. Now, the Ghanaian child is expected to commence school in KG1 by age 4, right? And complete basic education, which is JHS 3 by age 18. But however, not all learners will be able to will be at this exact age at that particular phase. So it can be assumed that some learners might be a year below or above in a given stage, because not all humans, we are not all born the same month. Some were born January, others were born February, up to December. So in one class, you have learners having various or different months that they were born. So you cannot assume that learners in that particular phase have to follow the exact age limit that we are talking about. Now, it must also be noted that there is a systematic and variability in the development of a child. One child is different from the other. There is a unique abilities of every child. Every child has a unique abilities. You can see all those who have been teaching, because we are all teachers on board now. So in a class, you see that you have different children with different abilities, very unique abilities. Even in the studying of some subjects, some are very good in drawing, some are very good when we talk about vocational skills, using the hands to build up something. Some are very good with mathematics, others are very good in science. So children have different abilities, and these are all drawn in the framework. These are all parameters that has been considered in the framework. Now, let us look at the curriculum philosophy, vision, aims, values, and objectives. Now, let's look at the vision of the curriculum. Our part of the world is greatly influenced by rapid development. You can see in our part of the world, in technology, everybody trying to get new phones, be abreast of the new technology, getting laptops, getting tablets. There are so many technological tools and items that are coming on board, and our part of the world has been rapidly influenced. When we talk about technology, they are there. Engineering and other related fields, also we can see a rapid change there. And these changes come with both challenges and opportunities, to which Ghana is responding through various reforms. So this change in technology, this change in engineering and other related fields has put Ghana in a responsive approach for various reforms, one of which is this curriculum reform. Now let's look at the vision. One is to give all Ghanaian children of school-going age the chance to benefit from quality basic education. Now this curriculum is looking at giving every Ghanaian child the opportunity to go to school, to be educated in schools. Two, transform our schools into student-friendly, stimulating and engaging environments for learners to learn and fulfill their individual potentials. It is through this reason that the government is trying to put up infrastructure to help schools, providing the various materials that will help students be able to achieve their full potentials. Recently in the basic schools, and recently in the SHS, I think February or so, materials, we are talking about art materials were sent to schools, and these are the visions of the curriculum, the new curriculum framework. And also, three, inspire learners to know about the values in the history of Ghana. Now, as we nurture our students, as we nurture these young ones, they should be able to know the values in our history as Ghanaians. You cannot learn history about people, you cannot learn history about others once you don't know the history of Ghana. So it's one of the vision. And also, one other vision is also to transform Ghana into a mathematics-friendly nature nation within an environment of science and technology. Now, you know, the world is being driven by science and technology. And math is an essential subject that has to be learned in school, because whatever that you do is mathematically driven. Calculations are done even when you are walking, even when you want to draw the human figure, it has to be well calculated. So mathematics has been a very subject that is one key subject that every child has to at least be able to understand. Then also to produce graduates who can engage in lifelong learning and can apply the knowledge innovatively. This has been our great challenge. You know, students go through academic process, and after that, they find it very difficult to apply the various knowledge in their fields of study into lifelong activities or learning. So the vision of this curriculum is also to look into that. Now, let's move on to the curriculum philosophies. Now, this curriculum framework for the pre-tertiary education is backed by philosophies. You cannot teach without philosophy. Students cannot learn without philosophies. So learning and teaching has to be driven by philosophies. Now let's look at the first one, innovative teaching and learning method. Innovative teaching and learning. Method. Now, philosophy of teaching and learning is an embodiment of the National Curriculum Framework, which requires the harmonious development of these three key factors. There are three key factors that you have to really consider when preparing or when making a philosophy for teaching and learning. One is the physical, the second is the mental, and the last or the third is the spiritual capabilities of learners. And these are all these together when trained or when used to train a child will help the child to at least be able to innovate, be able to come out with new philosophies, be able to use things around his or her environment to create something. So there are philosophies. This philosophy also presses on the belief that each individual who is a Ghanaian, and irrespective of the diverse needs of the learner in Ghanaian classroom, every student or school-going child must be given the very support to help her achieve the full potential and become productive citizens. So when you apply these learning philosophies, teaching philosophies, it means that every student or school-going child is given the opportunity, and through that will support everyone to achieve the full potentials and become productive citizens. Now let's discuss the philosophies. The educational system is flexible and it encourages teachers to engage in one, innovative teaching, which meets the unique needs of learners. So our education system is very flexible. Teachers can come out with various innovative ideas in the classroom to help in their learning, in their teaching. Two, the classroom should be what? Learner-centered, where learners are actively engaged in learning process as a result of teaching, adapting appropriate approaches to planning and classroom practices. So if you have a learner-centered classroom, it means that when a teacher is delivering, it encompasses the knowledge from the learner. The teacher draws knowledge from the learner. You don't just go there, talk, and just go out. But rather, you also solicit ideas from your students. You listen to their views. So it means that the students are giving back and you are also teaching. So that becomes a learner-centered classroom. 3, a shift from summative assessment to formative. The other time, Dr. Shen took us through a formative assessment to a summative assessment and that of formative assessment. So you just don't go to the classroom and you want to apply the summative assessment where just give works to your students, they do, just come, you mark based on the criteria. No, you must give students the room for them to also bring out various views. Now, the schools should be teacher-centered. Here, we are talking about the schools. Schools should be teacher-centered with these related practices. We are practicing something in our secondary schools, which is very good, where sometimes evaluation forms are being given to teachers to evaluate themselves. We look at the performances of teachers, we look at appraisal, we look at professional review, like what you are doing here, you are now learning. So this is also a form of what? Self-appraisal or professional review. Now you are learning something new. Now let's go on to the appropriate pedagogies. The appropriate pedagogies are employed in the curriculum delivery. This is because schools are teacher-centered. Teachers are able to use pedagogies, equipment and materials of instruction that can transform the classroom from the traditional teacher-centered classrooms to environments that provide opportunities for the use of dialogical learning and teaching approaches. Now, if you go to your classroom, there are teaching methods and learning methods that you can apply, and that depends on the environment that you find yourself. So a teacher can be able to use other ICT materials in class in teaching, if that is available, or if he can use those materials there. So in cases where teachers can use a computer and monitors or projectors to teach, teachers can use that. And these are embedded philosophies that you can use. Now, let's move on to the objectives of the National Pre-Tertiary Curriculum Framework. Now, the first objective is it provides learners with broad, up-to-date knowledge, skills, values, and attitude. What is a broad knowledge? When we go through the system, from the early childhood to the SHS or TVET, we are given a broad knowledge about how the world is. You are given everything bit by bit. You know a little of science, you know a little of arts, you know a little of maths. That is a broad knowledge. And you get that skills and values. And that is one objective of the National Pre-Tertiary Curriculum Framework. It also develops in learners the ability to apply what they have learned with confidence and competence in the world of work. Now, if learners go through this curriculum framework, and if teachers also abide or have a fair knowledge of this National Pre-Tertiary Curriculum Framework, then it means that they are going to impart upon their learners the ability to apply what they've learned. So when you learn, you must be able to confidently stand in front of your peers and speak. You must be able to attend world, if you are fortunate to be in a world conference, you should be able to articulate, you should be able to talk, you should be able to expect that skills in that knowledge that you want to share to the world. 3, it instills in learners an understanding of Ghana's history, culture and traditions, and of their rights and responsibilities as citizens. So the objective of the National Tertiary Curriculum Framework is to be able to at least educate our Ghanaian youth, educate each school-going child about our history, the culture that you find yourself within, the traditions. These are all embedded in the National Tertiary Curriculum Framework. Now, there are some of these objectives that have been listed here. The presentation will be later made available for you, so you can go through all these. They are self-explanatory objectives from the National Pre-Tertiary Curriculum Framework. Now let's go on to the values of the curriculum. Ghana has a very rich and proud history. Some are written, others are not. We have a rich culture. And the Ghanaian tradition includes values such as honesty. You know, as a Ghanaian, you need to be very honest. But we are not. But this curriculum is designed that we have those values as we go through this curriculum as teachers and as students. So the Ghanaian tradition includes values such as honesty, respect, equity, commitment to achieving excellence, teamwork or collaborations, truth, and integrity. Now, when we talk about respect, respect includes respect for the nation of Ghana. You have to be able to respect your nation. You have to be able to respect the laws that is governing the nation. You have to be able to respect the culture. You have to be able to respect every aspect of Ghanaian values so that you can become a very good citizen. When we talk about equity, you know that when you come to the very developed cities in our countries as compared to schools in the villages, schools in the very deprived areas, you know that when you talk about equity, equity means that it's a development which is looking at evenness. Looking at evenness. So if you think so consequently, it is necessary to ensure an equitable distribution of resources based on the unique need of learners and schools. So every school has its unique need. You cannot compare schools in the deprived areas to schools in cities which are not deprived. when you talk about commitment to achieving excellence, our curriculum, our pre-tertiary, our national pre-tertiary education curriculum framework captures that every Ghanaian learner must be able to appreciate the opportunities provided through the curriculum and also persist in doing their very best in whatever field or endeavor they find themselves in. So as a citizen of Ghana, as a school-going child of Ghana, if you are given the opportunity to learn, you must be committed to achieving the very best of your education. When you talk about teamwork, Ghana schools are to be dedicated to a constructive and team-oriented working and learning environment, whereby students must come together to do collaborative work, whereby subjects and other subjects can come together, science and art can come together in a collaborative mode to come up with something very innovative. And these are values that is embedded in the national pre-tertiary education curriculum. You can talk about integrity and truth, right? Okay. Now let's look at the structure of pre-tertiary education in Ghana. There are 5 phases in the structure of the pre-tertiary education in Ghana. Key phase 1 is the foundation level comprising kindergarten 1 and 2. That is key phase 1. When you talk about key phase 2, we are talking about the lower primary level, which is made up of basic 1 to basic 3. So you have basic 1, basic 2, and basic 3. Now 3 is the upper primary level, which is from basic 4 to basic 6. Now with the phase 4, we have the junior high level, which is basic 7 to basic 9. That is what we call the GHS, basic 7 to basic 9. And the last one, which is the last key phase, is the senior high school level, comprising SHS1 to SHS3. Now let's look at the age, the basic education and the tertiary education. Now we are looking at the age at which we all assume that children must attain at the various levels. So from age 4 to 8, we are looking at pre-primary, which is KG, and primary, which is the lower primary. So when the child is 4 to 8, we are looking at giving the basic education at this level. The pre-primary is KG, and the primary, the lower primary. Now when you go to age 8 to age 12, which is the primary, the upper primary, we are looking at students or pupils to attain that age. But as I earlier on indicated, that every Ghanaian child is expected to commence school in KG 1 by age 4, right? But this is not, sometimes it changes. As I earlier on said, you can have children going beyond these ages. When you go to the deprived areas and our schools in the deprived areas, you see that even some children are above age 4 and 8. You can see students who are very old. Some are in the range of 15 to 18, but still, which we think that they should be in SHS or Tibet, but you see these students still at the primary level. So it really changes. So these are not strict ages that children have to attain before they go. These are conventional ones. but there are differences. It can really change. So at SHS, we assume that a child must be 12 to 15. At JHS rather, we assume that a child must be at the age of 12 to 15. From age 15 to 18, we also assume that the child must be in SHS or Technical or Vocational Institute, right? Okay, and above 18, right from there, from SHS, it means that a child is either one going to the university, going to the polytechnic, or being enrolled in a specialized institution. Can talk about GIMPA, NAFTI, Ghana School of Surveying and Mapping, colleges of education, colleges of nursing, and the rest. Also from the SHS or from the TVET, you can also have students who are enrolled in early entrepreneurship. They start something. Those who cannot afford to go or continue in their higher education, they find something doing, right? Okay. So let's look at the phases and the learner characteristics or attributes. All these things are earlier on indicated are embedded in the National Tertiary Curriculum Framework. I said that we cannot consume or we cannot be able to deal everything that is embedded in the curriculum. We are just taking a little part of it. Later when we have another opportunity, we'll come and also share the rest. So now let's look at the phases and learner characteristics attributes, right? So let's define this concept. When we talk about physical development refers to the demographic. It refers to the demographic information about learners such as their age. So when you are talking about the physical development, you are talking about age, you are talking about gender, you are talking about the physical structure, and you're also talking about the language, etc. It also deals in the body increasing in size and performances, which include gross motor development. That is building very large muscles. So that is the physical characteristics. When we talk about the cognitive characteristics, this involves the development of the brain. Cognitive, so it means the brain, development of the brain. And when the brain is developed, it can be able to what? Process information. Then the mode of thinking or reasoning, how a student can reason, how a student can perceive, how a student can be able to remember and also solve individual problems. So that is the cognitive characteristics. When you talk about the social characteristics, that deals with the learning of the norms. Social characteristics, it deals with the learning of the norms. You should be able to learn the norms, the knowledge, the values as we've already discussed, and skills needed for learners to play their role in the family, in the society, as church, as school. That is the social characteristics. Now, the emotional characteristics. The emotional characteristics deals with our feelings. When we talk about emotions, particularly, we talk about the feelings that an individual experiences and express to understand how and why things do happen. Now, the last one is the language characteristics. And this language characteristics deals with how we develop our language, how language is developed, and the use and how we use the language in our various stages. And this influence our cognitive development as well. So the use of language will also be discussed. Characteristics of learner at every phase. we've learned about the 5 phases, which is an embodiment of the National Pre-Tertiary Curriculum Framework. Now let's look at the characteristics of learners at every phase. So let's take the phase 1, the early year learner, which is KG 1 to basic 3. Now when we look at the physical characteristics, you see that these very children have rapid physical growth and development of large and small and fine motor skills. We can also see that children at this learning stage or learning phase are very healthy and vigorous in activities. So you see them going about, running here and there. These are the physical characteristics of these children. And you can see they can play and play and play. Even if they are tired, you see them playing. So they can have a long period of uncontrolled play. Eye-hand coordination is being developed. Enjoy small group games in corporate manners. They are eager to write and copy letters. Yes, you see your child so eager to write. Even when you are not seeing the very letter that he wants to write, you know, the scribbling method. These children love that. And that is the characteristics at their age. Eager to write and copy letters, passionate about games, display high energy levels. They are interested in bright colors. They are able to control pencil, drawing, and give details of their drawing. When you talk about giving details of their drawing, you know, it all depends on what they want to draw. Their detailing is not about yours. They can come out with a very good artistic drawing and put certain features in there. That can only be explained by them. So they give details that you cannot even interpret. They can walk. They cannot walk backwards on a line. That's the physical characteristics. If you draw a line and you ask, if you draw a line on the floor and you ask an early year learner from KG 1 to E3 to walk backwards, I bet you he cannot walk on that line. When you talk about their cognitive characteristics, these very parameters have been already defined earlier. When you talk about the cognitive characteristics, early year learners, they think about images and symbols. So whenever they see images, they go near that. They are very keen about colors, right? They have a short attention span and are easily distracted. When you are talking to them, when they hear about something, they hear someone playing, they hear a noise, they hear music, they just turn and move in that direction. That is the cognitive characteristic of these children. Being able to know all this will help in dissemination knowledge in class and be able to know your students very well so that you can teach effectively. They are very eager to learn. They exhibit a sense of humor. They can make you laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh, right? So these are some of the cognitive characteristics of the early year learner, KG 1 to basic 3. Now let's look at their social emotional characteristics. They want reward as motivation. So whatever they do for you, they want you to what? To motivate them, right? You can be able to know and identify their sex, right? Whether they are male, they are boy or girl, right? So these are self-explanatory characteristics that we can look at them. Then if you also want to talk about the language and communication characters, you know them. They understand receptive languages more than productive languages. They can learn any number of languages exposed to them. All right. So if you live in a house with your child who is around the age or an early learner, KG 1 to basic 3, you can bear with me, you can agree with me that if in your home you speak Fanti or Twi or English or French, the child will be able to what? Learn all this because they are being exposed to all these languages. So you see the child growing and can speak all these languages, right? Now let's also look at the characteristics of upper primary learners, that is basic 3 to basic 6. Now their physical characteristics. They are very enthusiastic about games. They love games. Games that you cannot play, these little ones will play. They can maneuver their way through. When given a laptop or when given a tablet or computer, I bet you, they themselves can download games and play. That is their nature. That is their nature. If you talk about the cognitive characteristics, they have a long attention span. Now we said for the early learners that they don't have a long attention span. As children grow now, from basic 3 to basic 6, they acquire the characteristics of being able to listen for long, being attentive for long. They possess general knowledge but cannot apply it to their new tasks, right? They have so many knowledge. As they grew up, they learn so many things, knowingly and unknowingly, but they cannot apply them. So, you know, these are some of the physical characteristics. You can go through them at your free time. They are self-explanatory. The cognitive characteristics, you can also go through them. They are very self-explanatory at your leisure time. Okay, for time's sake, so let's move on. Now let's also look at the upper primary learners, still on the basic 3 to basic 6. There are social, emotional characteristics. They have a very strong drive towards independence. You know, they want to be independent. Everything they want to be independent, right? That is their character. At this level, they exhibit those characters. And sometimes they have the will and the need to belong to a group. They want to join small groups, right? So when you go to a school, you see little children who have gathered, Akwesibensa and Crawford. Yes, that is it. You see them gathering in groups, depending on the kind of skills they want to share within themselves. They like to take responsibilities, right? They want to take responsibilities at home, even at schools, and wherever they find themselves. And they always have best friends. So at basic 3 to basic 6, some of the characteristics that they share in the socio-emotional way is having friends, right? Let's also go on to the language and communication characteristics. They are very talkative. They like to talk. Basic 3 to basic 6, they like to talk. They will ask you so many questions. That sometimes you don't even have answers to that. And because they are in the learning process, they can also use grammar. They can use tenses and aspects of grammar. Nowadays, children at such stage, when they speak, even we adults are very, it's very difficult for us adults to even understand. some of the words that they use. I asked myself, was I using the same words or same vocabs at that age? Right, okay. Now let's go on to our junior high school learners. Our junior high school learners, their physical characteristics. So they experience rapid physical changes on their bodies. Now you can see in the adolescent stage where males are gaining muscles, females are developing breast here and there. So the physical characteristics, all these things show within them. They are more concerned about their bodies. So you see the ladies taking very good care of themselves, especially their faces, right? That is the characteristics in that stage. When you go to the social or emotional characteristics, we have also a lot. You know, at this age or at this stage in the junior high school, they begin to reject adult values and ideas. They think they are grown up, so they can make responsive. They think they are grown up, so they can make their own choices, right? So they begin to reject adult values and ideas. So, as I earlier indicated, I have a lot in here. So, in your spare time, you can go through them, study them. They are very self-explanatory, right? Characteristics of senior high school learners. Characteristics of senior high school learners. We are talking about SHS 1 to SHS 3. You know, they are still developing what? Physically. When we talk about the physical characteristics, they are not fully developed, as we earlier on saw in the SHS phase, or the phase of basic 7 to basic 9. Now with this phase, the physical characteristics exhibited by the students or pupils or learners in the SHS is that one, they are still developing, right? They develop unique personalities and characters. So among themselves, you see very unique characters amongst themselves. You know, when you go to the secondary schools, you see others with muscles, even when they have not lifted any metals. There are people like that. So these are physical characteristics. You see that the ladies are really growing. Their breasts become bigger, right? Some have their buttocks also growing, right? Bigger. That is it. These are physical appearances. At that stage, they have not fully developed. So if a teacher is building so if a teacher is trying to teach his students, or he's a student, he really needs to consider these physical characteristics. They also need a lot of rest, right? They also need a lot of rest. Now let's go on to the social emotional characteristics. The social emotional characteristics of these students at this level or this phase, which is the SHS 1 to SHS 3. We have a lot there. I will just pick some of them and we'll discuss. Have a deeper capacity for sharing and caring. At this stage, some of the young ones or some of the students in the senior high school or learners have a deeper capacity for sharing. they can care about you. It is this stage that they develop the self of getting a boyfriend, getting a girlfriend. You know, they are physically attracted to the opposite sex, and that is the stage. So if you have a child at this stage, then it means that you have to at least sit her down and talk to her about sexual or adult endeavors, right, or behaviors. And at this stage, you can also bear with me that they look for information outside their parents. They tend to listen to others, their peers. They are very influenced at this age, and they have a very high risk in risky behaviors such as what? Drugs, alcohol, and sexual activities. So these are also some of the cognitive characteristics and language and communication characteristics uh, of learners in the senior high schools, right? These are attributes or they are characteristics. The cognitive characteristics. I've been able to state something here. So if in your spare time you can go through these, they are self-explanatory. I don't want to waste my time here. Okay, now let's look at the implications of this categorization and characterizations in designing the curriculum framework, right? So what are the implications? Why the phases, right, as discussed? Why is it prudent for us to know the very attitude of students in terms of their physical, the characteristics of students in terms of their physical, cognitive, social, and emotional characteristics? Is it necessary for us to know? What are the implications of these characterizations and categorizations in the designing of the curriculum framework? Now, content is very important. You know, when you know this, you'll be able to at least design your curriculum or to plan a systematic and progressively curriculum by suggesting each phase appropriate content for learners. So you'll be able to come out with content that will help your learners in the various stages, right? Approaches to behavior modifications. This is one implication in the curriculum, in designing of the curriculum framework. And in doing that, you equip the curriculum designer with the knowledge to recommend appropriate approaches to handling the behavior of a learner at the very various age categories effectively in the classroom. So when you are able to know about the ages of your students, about their physical characteristics, about their cognitive characteristics, about their social or economical characteristics, you'll be able to draw or equip your curriculum with the appropriate approaches that will help you to handle the behavior of your learners at the various stages that we've discussed. All right. Now, it also helps in the teacher learners, in the teaching and learning strategies. It will equip the curriculum designer with the knowledge to select age appropriate in teaching strategies or methods. You cannot use the same teaching approach or pedagogies as used in SHS for phase 1, right? The various phases have their own teaching and learning strategies. As we earlier on said, for the cognitive characteristics of the early child, which is from KG1 to basic 3, you agree with me that they don't have a long span, of being able to disseminate the ideas and philosophies, the skills that you want to put across. You cannot engage a little child for so long. He would definitely be distracted by something, either by his or her friends playing somewhere. So you cannot engage them fully for a longer time. They have a very short span, right? So the teaching and learning strategies that will be adapted in that stage is not the same as the teaching and learning strategies in the various phases. When we are talking about the 5 phases, each phase has its own teaching and learning strategies, right? Okay, so teacher-learners interaction. The teacher-learners interaction equips the curriculum developer, right, with the knowledge to embed in the curriculum how teachers should interact with their learners in the classroom. How do teachers interact with their learners in the classroom? Age is one parameter that the teacher has to look at. The various phases. Now we are looking at the implications. So the various phases, how to communicate and interact with your students, right? So when you go to a class, in a KG class, a teacher can be singing, even in their learning process, learning the alphabet. They use the singing method. They sing through before they can. The children will be able to pick up some of these alphabets. Now, when you come to the SHS, you cannot use that same approach, right? Yes. Okay. So it means that at every level, there should be a teacher-learners interaction, how a teacher will interact with his or his students. And this is all embedded in the curriculum, right? Now, the outcomes. It helps the curriculum developer to write achievable learning outcomes for learners at the appropriate levels. So at every level, a teacher can be able to measure the learning outcome of his students, right? Okay, then continuity in learning. So this curriculum bringing all these characteristics in the curriculum will help the curriculum designer to ensure continuity and integration in the presentation of the content. So it means it can be added, something can be added periodically, right? You can add periodically when you are designing the curriculum, right? So after knowing the behavioral characteristics of your students at each level, you can be able to what? Come out with new ideas that will help both subsequent curriculums, right? Okay. Now the curriculum also has a guiding policy. The National Pre-Tertiary Curriculum also has a guiding policies. Now let's look at these policies. It has the 1992 Constitution of Ghana. It also has the Education Act 778 of 2008. It also has the UN Sustainability Development Goals. Within this curriculum framework, we have the UNESCO Education 2030 Framework for Action. There's the National Teachers Standards, the National Teachers Education Curriculum Framework. We have the ICT for Accelerated Development Policy Framework. We have the ICT in Education Policy. We have the Adolescent Reproductive Health Development. We have the Ghana Reading Action Plan, the National Science and National Science, Technology and Innovation Policy, right? Now you can get the National Pre-Tertiary Educational Framework online. All these have been fully explained there, so you can go online, search for the National Pre-Tertiary Educational Framework. Okay. Now, what is the rationale for reviewing this curriculum? Why do we have to review curriculum? This is in the quest, right? The new pre-tertiary educational curriculum is to respond to what national priority of shifting the structure and content of educational system from merely passing exams. You know, our system has become the merely passing exam system, whereby a student will go to school, be able to chew whatever he or she has been given by a teacher. When during exams, he will just come and pour everything on paper. That has been the system, right? Merely passing exams. So you pass exams, you continue without using the very knowledge that you have acquired through your educational system to build your character. So the review is looking at building the character, nurturing the values that we have talked about, raising literate, confident, and engaged citizens who think critically. That has been the new or the rationale behind the reviewing of curriculum. Right. Thank you. I think I'm done with the presentation. As I earlier on indicated, I just took a little portion of the curriculum framework. There is a lot to be learned in the curriculum framework, but we just tackled a few or just a little portion of the curriculum framework. Next time when we get the opportunity, we'll tackle the rest, okay? So at this juncture, I will open the floor for members to contribute and also ask questions concerning the National Pre-Tertiary Educational Framework, right?
Thank you, Mr. Adoba, for the juicy presentation. Now, listening to this presentation, it reminds me of my psychology class, right? This then has to do with educational psychology. So it implies that the pre-tertiary educational curriculum was formulated looking at educational psychology and how it's going to help the student, or the learners. So it means as teachers, this is a policy we are supposed to acquaint ourselves with, so that in terms of promotion or whatever, when we find ourselves in the classroom, we'll be able to prepare and then meet the requirements of the student or the learning outcomes of the student. Sometimes we go to class and say, oh, this thing I've taught the students and they are not understanding. These students, they are not good. No, it means we have to maybe calm down. We know all this already. We are pay our training. And this presentation has refreshed our minds. So as this juncture, as he did indicate, we will invite questions from you and suggestions, opinion, whatever you have. Please feel free to comment. So raise your hand. Let's call you, and then let's begin the conversation. This is an interesting part of the conversation. In fact, your input is so much required to make this interesting. So we're waiting for your input now. Hello, just raise your hand so that we will mute you, so that we go on. Okay, so Nyamawuru, your hand is up. We want to hear you.
Thank you, Doc, for the opportunity. And thanks to Mr. Aduba for his presentation. Mine has to do with the 4 R's.
The what?
And if we look at the 4 R's as presented to us this afternoon,
would you like to position yourself? The network is not very good to us.
Right.
Mr. Nyamaru.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, you are talking about the 4 R's, right?
Yes, I haven't done it. But is it okay now?
Your line is
not
better. Clear. Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, you can go on.
Okay, so my issue has to do with the 4 R's. Okay, so we have writing, we have reading, we have writing, we have arithmetic.
And creativity.
Then the 4th one is creativity.
Creativity, yeah.
Yes. Now, over the years, it appears to be like the focus is rather on the first 3 R's: the reading, the writing, and arithmetic. That is the reason why we have English, mathematics running from KG to SHS. Now, I am aware that the curriculum framework has even the curriculum itself has been designed for KG from KG to B6 or so B6. Yes, to B6. So I don't know, is there any indication as to whether this once creativity has been introduced as a core component of the curriculum, whether creativity, for that matter, art, will actually be considered as a core subject at the SHS level? Because if you are talking about creativity, then you run it from KG to PG level, and you drop it, then there appears to be a missing gap. So I want to find out whether I'm aware that the full curriculum for the curriculum for the SHS is not out yet, and the curriculum has not yet been rolled out. Is there any indication as to whether what that is done, creativity, which has something to do with art, would become a core component of the SHS curriculum? Thank you very much.
Aduba, did you hear the questions?
Please, can you come again with it?
Yeah, I want to type the question. I think the voice is not very good, so type them and I'll ask for you.
I think
type them in the chat and I'll ask them to you.
Mr. President, I think
maybe I will read you and ask it. I will go up and read you and ask it. It seems my network is not too good.
So do the chat. Do the chat and ask it there, and then we'll respond to it. Yes.
Okay.
Ben Cratton, you have a question for us? Honorable Ben Cratton. So you can raise your hand, unmute yourself. Then we hear from you. Hello, Madam Christiana Okay Mensah. Any comments from you? And Jan, any comments? Based on what we have heard so far. Madam Christy, we are listening.
No, please. I have no comments. I supposed
Okay,
to go
so
referent delivery. I'll go and learn what have been taught. So I have no question.
okay, so that's it. Please, any other question for me or for the presenter? Any other question based on what we presented so far? Okay. Let me add that in the absence of questions, suggestions, opinion, further comments, we thank you all for coming today to join us through this webinar. Be reminded that this is recorded and we're going to upload it online for you to get access to it anytime. Just after we have ended it, we're going to upload it online. You can share it with your friends. You look at it. We're just doing this to help ourselves. We need to help ourselves to progress, right? That's it. Let me also add that on Thursday, we have a presenter who is coming to take us through attending GES interview. And he is a former district education director. And he's coming to present us, a very interesting, topic that is attending GES interview or preparing for interview. What do you do? What do they expect from you? And how do you even do general interview? How are you going to cope with it? So we were the same link you have used to join today. Share it to other people. We are not taking any money from anybody. Just join. But only that those who have registered will be certificated at the end of the webinar. That is it. So that's it. So thank you so much. I think let me go to the chat. Nyamaoro, have you sent the chat already? I'm not seeing the questions there.
I had wanted to, I hesitated and came in again. I don't know whether it will be clear.
Yeah, I think it's clearer now. It's clearer. You can ask it now.
Okay. So the question has to do with the 4 R's. And from the presentation, we have the first R is reading, followed by writing, arithmetic, and the 4th is the creativity. And my observation is that over the years, emphasis seems to be placed on the first 3 R's, the reading, the writing, and the arithmetic. That is why we have English and mathematics running from KG up to SHS as core subjects. So I want to find out whether there's any indication as to whether one's creativity has been given space this time around as a core component of the curriculum framework for pre-tertiary, whether creativity, which has links with arts, would be given the status of a core subject at the SHS level. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Anyamaru, yes, if I'm clear about your question, right? We are talking about the 4 R's, right? The 4 R's, which we have the writing, we have reading, we have arithmetic, which we all know is about mathematics, and we have creativity. Creativity has to do with science and art. It cuts across so many things, so many subjects.
Yes.
Right? If you are talking about innovation, creating something new, either using the scientific approach or artistic approach, it all boils up to be what? Creativity. Now, over the years, we can see that much emphasis has been given to mathematics and science, right? And English, right? Right from building up from the early childhood to SHS. and that has been the core. So that has been the core what subjects. Now, creativity in this curriculum framework, how do I put it? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I do. I can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me. So creativity has been given that chance for learners to be able to come out with creative ideas. Now, even when, now let's take it from childhood at the early stages, when children are learning, right? They are given logos in our schools. They are given logos, right, to come out with something. They are given colors to color. At the early stages of learning, you see that if a drawing is made, is given an empty hole for them to color, right? This is another way of building up students' creativity, right from that early childhood stage, right? When children are given logos or given classroom materials to play with, you can see that sometimes they create new ideas, right? They create things. Even with drawing, they will draw something, they will create something, they have details, but you wouldn't understand. So you can see that right from that early stage, children have the ability to what? To create. As children grow up in the various stages, even if creativity is not studied in the classroom, you can see that things around them, they use those things around them to create certain things, right? To create new things, right? When we were children, we can take the milk cans and produce cars from it. That is creativity. Now, how is it embedded in this curriculum that we are talking about? Is that not what you want to know?
At SHS level, there seems to be a gap.
Which gap? Which gap?
Hello.
Nyamaru.
The gap is that creative arts runs from KG up to P6. Then we have the old one. We have how do you call it? A BDT. I don't know. Maybe it's probably might have been given a new name.
Okay.
Yes. Now, at SHS level, so you realize that from KG up to UHS, it is a core subject.
Yeah.
Now, from SHS level, it is no longer a core subject.
It becomes a specialized.
They are the, yes. Meanwhile, they are there. It means the three arts are supposed to be core, essential components of the curriculum framework. For which reason, they need to be covered from KG up to SHS 3. Creativity is a bit silent at the SHS level. It is more or less like specialized. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Nyamaru, you can agree with me that in the SHS, we have the disciplines in art. It is not the general knowledge of art, right? We have the discipline where students can offer textiles, where students can offer ceramics, where students can offer picture making, where students can offer leatherwork or sculpture, right?
You see,
Yes.
if I may add to it.
Yes, sir.
His concern is about how are we sure that creativity, now that the R, I mean the last R has been, we have 4 R's. Now the last one is creativity. So how do we ensure that art is not going to be given, is going to be given a space in terms of the curriculum? Isn't it? Isn't it? Good. If you remember, before the Educational Review 2004, 2007, I mean, we saw that art was not given a space, much space. Now, when the review came, they gave art a space, and it became what we call the creative art. For me, so the creative art has been there, and then they created another review happened, and then they created the basic design technology, blah blah blah. But the issue has to do with the creative art itself, its effectiveness in terms of teaching it, because available research shows that teachers handling the subject, about 90% of them are generalist teachers. It means they have not been trained in the subject area.
Yes.
So that is one of the gaps we need to work on first, right? But when it comes to the JHS level, the BDT is there. Now they are expanding, they have expanded it, right? They have the BS7 to BS9. Now they have expanded with the new curriculum. So they're looking at SSS.
Okay.
Once you get to SSS, you are now going to take career programs, career-oriented programs. So if you look at the framework he presented, if you look at age 12 to 15, there you can still go into career-oriented program. If you finish, you're supposed to get a job or self-employed or something. In fact, that was the concept of the JHS when it was brought in by Rollins in '87. But a lot of challenges mitigated against it. And so let's look forward as educationists, as colleague art educators, let's see that this is going to work. And we as also a group should also do a lot of research that is going to inform policy in that regard.
Hello.
Yes.
This is John Anand.
Yeah, Honorable John, we are listening.
Yes,
Would you
at
like
the point.
Yeah,
Increase
okay.
your,
Has he finished?
Your voice,
Has he
please.
finished?
Let's hear you. Be louder.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Add some more power to it.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, at a point I got lost. Actually, let me confess, I'm not an art teacher. I was invited by Brother Ato Daniel Aduba. But I was still enjoying the lectures because it cut across everywhere. But I got a bit confused now that you started talking about art and art. So my question is creativity the sole preserve of the art students? Or so if a science student is not into arts, what can he do? How do we ensure that creativity must permeate through all the disciplines, not just the arts alone? I was privileged to go to South Korea to study. And there, everybody does these arts, music, everything, the subjects that ensure creativity. They do it. It's compulsory for everybody to do it. So how do we ensure that? Because that is why we are still where we are. Maybe thank God that now they are introducing this new thing. So how do we ensure that everybody, irrespective of what you are doing, either science or general arts or whatever, the creativity is ensured, is enshrined in whatever we are doing? Thank you.
Correct.
Yeah, thank you. Honorable Ato Adoma will come in, but let me say this shortly so that he comes in. As you rightly indicated, there are, for the creativity, as you rightly indicated, is for all the subject areas. But as you indicated, in our part of the world, we have not given art a chance in all the other subjects because art is an integral part. There's art in science, there's art in economics, there's art in whatever, agriculture, there's art there. And that is why, that's why in the advanced countries, they do it a core subject for everybody because you need that feel of creativity to move, something to create tangibles, to ideas, to create these new designs, environment, save the environment. You need that artistic idea. But it is, as we said, our part of the world, that is lacking. And this webinar we are doing is also very important in shaping the concept or in shaping ideas of people, right? But thank God they have brought it. And so as we said, even now they have introduced it, teaching of it has become a challenge because the teachers have not been trained for it. They went to training camp, they didn't learn that. they were not trained originally for that. So many a times, according to available research, they go to the class, they will not teach it because they don't know it. They'll, you know, when they come to us, they'll be singing, clapping, and that's it. That's end. That's the end. So we need to move a step further. One, as a society, we have a role to play. As Art Teachers Association, we have a role to play. Government has a role to play. Ghana Education Service has a role to play in this. Because if the nation develops in terms of artistic, whatever, it develops for all of us.
Yes.
Now I'm inviting the comment from Honorable Adova, who did the presentation.
Okay. Mr. John, as you indicated earlier, you know, in our system here, we don't have as such that if you are going through your educational system, you'll be taken through music, you'll be taken through the very creative art disciplines. It is not with us. So as teachers, as educators, I think it's about time that if there is going to be a new reform in our curriculum, that needs to be looked at, right? So that every growing child or every school growing child will have the abilities, such abilities. You know, you can have very good students reading science, coming out with very good music when they have not even learned about any musical notations, right? And so it needs to cut across. It needs to cut across. So the way forward, I think the next reform that has to be hammered, so that the creativity in the last 4 hours will really show in our curriculum. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I hope so. I hope it will work very soon.
Okay. With your support, it will work. We can do it together.
Yes, together we can do it. You see, the point is, sorry if I may. The point is that sometimes, as my brother said, because the teachers are not there, they go there and it's on the timetable. They go there and they use the time for other things because they don't have the skills to teach. And so authorities also feel that, I mean, that is a waste of time. Why do we keep the subject when we don't have the teacher? So they scrap it. So we bring, that's why the other time I said it is juicy at the top. We make good policies and we don't see, we have brought in these things, creativity and that. Meanwhile, there are no teachers, enough teachers to handle it. So I'm sure now that you are there, you will teach a lot of people, you churn out a lot of people to also help. And we also do our bit to help. Together, we can move Ghana forward. Thank you.
Thank you for the contribution. Yes, any other comments? So you have just joined us. Any comments?
No.
No comments.
I came up to.
All comments reserved, eh?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so thank you once again. Dr. Aduba, do you have your closing remarks?
No, I'm not a doctor, please. Please address me.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Aduba, do you have a closing remark for us?
Oh, thank you all for coming. We would like to see you all in the next webinar. Please invite other friends to come on the webinar. It's very educative, okay? So make sure you invite more of your friends. It's not only for art teachers or art educators. It's cut across. Next week, as the president said,
no, it's this week, coming Thursday. Not next week.
Yes, coming Thursday. Please make it a point to come online so that we can all share ideas and move forward as teachers. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Okay, I think that ends it all. So thank you once again for coming.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.